Hi friends, this is Shanna Cramer with Creatively Uncorked. Today's painting is Summer Truck, or Summer Truck Flower Delivery as I guess I called it. So this is one that we did at our Creatively Uncorked studio back in about a year ago. I think we painted this one, maybe a little bit longer. And this is a nice fun one. Of course, it's a take on the famous winter truck, the Christmas tree truck. That one went so well, we decided to do paintings for each season. So we have the summer truck, we have a fall truck, and now we have the spring truck. Maybe we'll get through the rest of those. We've already done a video for the winter truck. You can find that one in our Patreon. That one has lights. It's fun. Anyway, so the summer truck, I'm going to walk you right through this one step by step. And this one, I'm going to do it as if it were a kit delivered to you. So we have these kits here at Creatively Uncorked that we're just sending out. We mail them out, ship them out. We deliver them to your door, or you can come into the studio and pick them up, a to-go kit. So art kits to go, you can find that on creativelyuncorked.com. And this is one of the paintings in the art kit. When you get your kit to go, you will get instructions that look similar to this that you can follow along with. You'll get all your paint, you'll get your brushes if you order brushes, and you'll have everything you need. I'm going to start on my background on this one, which is only going to use a few colors that I'm going to have mixed pretty thoroughly. I'll have a pretty big mess here on my plate, which is fine. So I'll just get some colors out. Okay, I think that's it for my white, and then I'll have a little bit of red. And this is a bright red. The one thing that you'll need to know is this is a transparent paint. I'm using transparent red. This is a cool transparent red and a cool transparent blue, which is Phthalo Blue. But Phthalo Blue is pretty common, so you'll be able to find that. Red, bright red is a kind of a brand specific thing. I'm going to make up my purple. And the purple I'm mixing up is going to be for my mountains. I have this purpley color right in here. That's what I'm after. So this is going to be my darkest purple, and then I'll just continue to add white to it as I need a lighter purple. So my mountains are going to go kind of right across here. And I'll just go ahead and make it maybe a little more bluish. That's a fun thing about the purples is you can just kind of change color whenever you feel like it. I will try to be a little bit more careful around this edge. The edges of the truck are really the only important edges. Mountains, not so much. Mountains can be any shape. I mean, if you have specific mountains in mind that you're trying to make, then, I mean, that's totally up to you. Me, I don't live anywhere near mountains, so they all look the same to me. Lakes, though, lakes have defining features. As a Minnesota girl, I can say that. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill all this in with some purple. Purple mountains, naturally. And the nice thing about having this flat brush is you can make nice straight lines with it. You can either make straight lines this way, or you can just butt right up against the edge and just pull back, and that makes a nice straight line as well. So mountains, I'm going to leave those alone. I can add more detail later if I want. I'm not sure that I want to. I do want to cover the ground. So my ground is, believe it or not, going to be also more purple. And I'm going to start down here. Let's see. I can use my darkest purple that's still in my brush, kind of in the shadowy areas below the truck. Okay, just kind of get that paint off the brush onto the canvas there before I load up with a little more white. And I'll just go right over the top of this now with the white. And because my underlayer paint is wet, it's just going to blend in. And it's going to pick up that color and move it around. So I'll end up with a nice blend of these purples, and it'll just be a lot lighter where I'm adding the white, which is exactly what I'm after. So that's convenient. So to avoid these start and stop marks, you can just kind of do a slower blend. You can If you come in off of the edges, like off of the edges and then lift off when you get onto the canvas, there, that'll help hide any of your brush marks. And here we go again with the darker colors right up against, or my square edges right up against the truck. And now you can see that I've gotten away from that dark purple. I haven't added any more purple to the brush since painting my mountains, but I've still got purple on it. See that? There was that much purple loaded into the brush. I'm just going to go right around under the bumper. And even though this is under the truck, you're kind of seeing all the way under the truck. So you're seeing the light on the other side instead of more shadow. Although if you've gone ahead and painted yours with more shadow, that's just fine. Don't worry about it. We'll get more chances to paint around the truck later. This is a painting from our 3-hour painting library. I have taught it in 2 hours, just over 2 hours before. But I had a class that was very willing to be pushed along, and that's exactly what I did. I had to keep pushing everybody forward and, rush them through it, but we got done in just a little over 2 hours, which I think is a really good way to do it, because this is one of those little tediously detailed paintings that you can get obsessed with these details and overwork your painting in no time. That's something that'll just, it never looks good. Overworked paintings are just no good. So you want to be a little bit more careful about that. And you can go ahead and rotate your canvas however you need to. See, still dealing with that same purple that was in the brush. Dirty brush purple, I'll call it. A little more white just around the edge there. Get almost done with my background. Background under the truck anyway. There we are. And I'll just leave it streaky. I do want to get rid of my start and stop marks on from my brush, but there, I'll leave it nice and streaky. All right. Now I'll move on to that sky. So this time I'll wipe the paint out of the brush, and I'll go ahead and rinse out that brush in some water. And my sky is going to be white, yellow, and orange. So this is a warm yellow and an orange vermilion. These two colors are somewhat opaque. I mean, yellow is never opaque, but they're more opaque than an alternative. Clean the brush a little better there. All right, so I'm going to take up a big scoop of my white and bring it over to my yellow and orange. My sky is going to be mostly white. So big glob of white, little glob of yellow. And there I go, right into my sky. Since this is going to be a nice colorful painting, I'll do very little pre-mixing of color on the plate. I did mix with the purple. Purple's just, you have to pay a little bit more attention to it to get a color that you want. But like this bright streaky sky. Oop, cat hair. I can just go ahead and pick up a couple of chunks of different color and just add that to my sky. And that's going to look nice and streaky. That'll be my sunrise. It's a sunrise today because it is early in the morning right now. I'm working hard to try to get all these paintings online. I'm trying to get the entire library online. I'm uploading these to a Patreon account. Some are going to go in our, and these will be linked to, if you get a kit, you'll get a link to the video. But I don't have a lot of time to record right now, so I had to get up early and before work today and get this recorded. I'm just going to go right around the mountains. There, and I'm picking up a little bit of purple because the mountains are still a little wet and just blending that right into the sky. because the mountains are still wet, you can kind of fade your edge a little bit, kind of help it look like it's way off in the distance. Just blur those edges. And what I'm doing to blur the edges, I have this wet brush with yellow and white paint on it, just going right over the edges of that purple. So you can see I've picked up some purple now in my brush. All right, so clean that out. Let's see, not too much. So I think I want to put some bolder streaks in the sky. Bolder streaks, let's see here. So go with some more, yeah, like that. We'll make that sky a little bit more interesting. Or maybe it's a sunset. Do you think it's a sunset or sunrise? Guess the truck doesn't care my schedule, right? While I've still got that orange and yellow, I'm just going to go and throw some of that color down here into the ground. We'll add some interest to that ground as well. There. Already better. Gonna need a little more white. Gonna need a lot of white for this painting because this painting is all about color blending, and white is the blend color. Almost always white is going to be your blend color. If you're ever trying to make two colors blend, add a little white. I'm not going to say that's always a rule, but that's a pretty good general rule for blending. There. Okay, kind of like the way that's looking. And this isn't final. I mean, a lot of it is, yes, but I will come back here and add more shadow, so that area will be redone a little bit. Okay, I will go ahead and blow dry this and move on to the next step. All right, looking pretty good. My next thing that I'm adding in my painting now is going to be the turquoise of the truck. So I'm going to take a little bit of turquoise right out of this color pot. Just clean the brush a little and dry that on your towel. Just take a pile of turquoise out here. That should be enough for the truck. And then, of course, I'll be mixing that with white. Putting the cap back on the rest of my turquoise because I'll need that in a little while. I have some shading, some highlights, some things that I'll be adding to the truck. So that's a pretty nice medium color. Maybe slightly darker. And I'm going to fill in the entire truck with this. Again, the truck edges are the only edges that matter, so try to be careful with those. The highlights and the shading are going to give the truck its form. So we'll add that, but for now, we're going to fill it in. So I've got this bumper down here. I'm not going to paint the bumper. I've got the wheel. Don't need to paint the wheel or the tire. Just go right around that. See, I do have this bumper down here, so I will paint that, or running board, I guess it would be. And I'll just try to keep this paint as smooth as possible because this will show through. Yes, I'm doing more layers over it, but this underlayer will show through. So I'll just try to keep it smooth. And I'm just mixing up more turquoise as I go. You can always mix up a nice big puddle of it so you have enough to cover your whole truck without remixing. But it's only 2 colors, so that's not too hard to remix. If you're dealing with 3 colors, 5 colors, and I'd say definitely mix it all up to begin with, all of it that you're going to need, because that many colors will be a little bit more challenging to come up with the same color twice. And again, just painting right around that little back bumper. That back bumper is going to be gray. Smooth out that again. One more time. And then just a little bit of the top of the truck. Top of the door, I guess I should do. Bottom of the door. Top of the door. The entire door. So this part can get a little detailed, a little futzy. If you need to switch to the small flat brush at this point, you can. The two brushes that we're using are this 1/2 inch flat, which is what I have in my hand right now, and then also a 1/4 inch flat, which is a little bit smaller than this, about approximately half the size, amazingly. Okay, so at this point, we've got all of our color on the truck. So I'll go ahead and wipe that paint off, drop it in the water, and I'm switching to my small 1/4 inch flat. And this time I do need to add, I'm going to mix up some gray because at this point I can do my wheels, I can do my bumpers, I can do my windows. So I'll just take a little bit of this black and I'll just put that way over here. Picking up some white, bringing it over to the black, and just kind of giving that a mix in. I think I have enough black in my brush that I don't need to add anymore. I'm just going to use the dirty brush black and mix in my white. Do blend pretty well if you can. This is one case where you kind of do need to mix because I don't have a gray, so I need to make the gray. So filling in the bumpers. Again, this is just the mid-tone, the local color. We'll add the highlights and shadows to this in another layer. And centers of wheels. Okay, and I also want to get that window. I add a little bit more white to it now, that'll be just fine. And the window, I guess we could even add a touch of that purple if we still have any left to the gray, because we'd be kind of seeing the mountains through it. But then we also really don't want to see anything through it, because if we start painting people or details or anything inside the truck, it's going to take away from the truck itself. As soon as you put a person in a painting, that person is the painting. Doesn't matter how little that person is. They can be just a shadow of a figure sitting in the front seat here, and all of a sudden this painting isn't of a truck anymore. This is a picture of a person. So we're going to avoid that by fogging up this entire window so no person is visible. All right, so that is looking pretty good. Okay, I'm going to rinse the brush just a little bit. And I'll add some of my highlights now for the bumpers and for the wheels. So just taking straight white. And I'll just come in right here in the top edge of that bumper. Okay, wiping it off and then going back into the straight white again. And adding a highlight to the back bumper. And let's see if we can do that with the wheels. So just taking a little bit more white. And then I'm going to come down right on these inside, well, the bottom left, right? The bottom left, right. The bottom right, left. Okay, so then I'm also going to a little bit right on what would be the center of the wheel. And then the outline over here. So let's say the sun's kind of looking this way, which it isn't, but let's just say it is for the purpose of this wheel. So there I've got my highlight on the lower left, because you have to, if you want your wheels to look chrome, you have to just add some light. So there, we've got some highlights there. I know I'll need some shadows, but I think I might wait with that. Okay. So I have some wood boards I'm going to add in here. I could fill in behind the boards, but that's all going to be green anyway. I have some leaves or some flowers that'll be in there, so those can just take up that space. So what I'm going to do is just paint the boards. The boards are going to be brown. So to make brown, I just take some orange, tiny little smidge of black, and that is a nice warm brown. If you want to cool it off a little, you can add a touch of blue. There. And my brush just happens to be the right size. Coincidence? No, actually, I planned it that way. Believe it or not, when I'm planning paintings, because we teach these at the studio, and we have a finite number of brushes at the studio. A little more white in there just to get it to flow, because it isn't flowing very smoothly. So we plan our paintings around the paints and the brushes that we use there. Every straight line fits a brush that we have. Every shape is going to be either 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, 1 inch, 3/4 inch. Those are the flat brushes that we use. So now that we're converting everything to online, I think I might have a little bit more flexibility and freedom, but this method just might be ingrained in me by now, which is okay. But we have some rules that really would never apply to any other painting method, like every painting must use 6 colors or less, 3 brushes or less. But I think that's kind of a good rule. You start adding too many paintings and then or too many colors, and then pretty soon your color's out of whack. So limiting your color palette is just plain a good idea. All right, so I've got this dark color right down in here, and that's going to be fine because I'll come back over this with my shading and with my highlights. I just want to make sure that I have the brown in the background. Okay, coming back from break, I've blow dried the truck, and now I'm going to start adding the truck shadows. So again, showing you the truck here, and it's these shadow areas in there that I want to add now. And that I'm going to do with turquoise and a little bit of purple. So take that purple that you got mixed up, I'll bring it over here by the turquoise, mix those together. So this is actually going to make a nice little dark turquoise. And it's a colorful dark turquoise. It's not, bland. So let's see. I want to come up here where my wheel well connects. I'm going to go right around the wheel and down. This is connecting kind of to the running board. And then the running board will bend over this way, all the way to the door. Let's see, I kind of want to just kind of give that a little bit of a blend. There, better. So where the door handle comes down, let's see, we go right along the back of the truck. I'll just go right along the entire back of the truck and then straight down. Okay, that's pretty good. So then that's where this shadow ends, is right practically up to that. All right, just some other details. We want to go along the inside of the window with this. Inside top edge, left edge, and just a little bit right on the back. I'm also going to have a little shadow under the door handle. So I'm just going to do a little line like that. At the bottom of the wheel well. Bottom of the wheel well? Yeah, I guess it would be, wouldn't it? Right above the tire. I'll give that a little blend. Put that little shadow in there. Now I'm being a little messy on the tire side, that's fine, because the tire is going to go there. A black tire, so it'll cover nicely. Okay, before I get working too far into this, I want to get my blend going there, but before that, take a little more purple, a little more turquoise. Okay, I'll go right along near the tire. More turquoise, or more shadow, more dark. Okay, and then right along that bottom of that truck. I want the shadow to go across the whole bottom. This is one of those cases where it'd be a good idea to mix up all the paint you need to begin with, because you kind of want to keep this a similar, your shadows should be kind of a similar color. So right along the bottom of that wheel well, add more turquoise to it. Okay, top of the wheel well. And there is you can kind of see this little edge that comes out here and there. So now that I've got my colors in, I want to give them a little bit of a blend. I started to do that here. Just going to wipe off that paint. Remember my light turquoise color that I painted the background with? That's what I'm going to blend it into. So now I have that light turquoise, and I'm just going to bring it up in here. Now this is kind of one thing where you want to do it in as few brush strokes as possible. If you can do it in one brush stroke, you win. Take a little bit more light here of that light turquoise, and I'm going to see if I can blend it in right down here in my back wheel well. And the only reason this is working is because my paint is still wet. I have to blend paint while it's wet. There we are, so right down in there. Just give it a smooth, taking some of that shadow color and coming back up from the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to call that shadow good. I wish it was a little more purple though, so I think I want to add a little more. I really like the purple and the turquoise together. Very 90s. I just like the way it looks. So I just want to keep my shadows in the purple range. So I'll see if I can blend that just a touch, a touch. So did I mention that it's really early in the morning here? The best time to invent a language? Right on your first cup of coffee. Yep, that's what I'm going to call it. All right, so I've got some good shading going on in there. And then I do want to pick up some more of my turquoise and just kind of see if I can't get a little bit of a blend. Just a little. See if I can calm this area down a little. It's kind of screaming, pay attention to me. And I don't like it. You are not the star of this show. Hey, sit down and behave. Oh, that's better. All right, so now I want to blend up in my fore truck area. And that's probably a technical term. Okay. There, nice little blend. That's what we've got going on. Okay, so I think I want to just mix a touch of this little shadow area. I think I just kind of see what happens when you overpaint. You gotta kind of hurry through this painting and not think too hard on it, because as soon as you start thinking about it, it's over. You can't overwork it. You gotta just keep right on going. All right, stop. Moving on. Let's see what I got here. Highlights. Let's do some highlights. Okay, so same brush. Just gonna take some white. I mean, you can mix it with a little bit of turquoise if you want to, but keep it very, very, very light, very light. So here we are. I'm going to start with the bumper. front bumper and just kind of put some paint down. And if you put the paint down while the background is still wet, it'll blend in, which is fine. We can let it blend in, but then we'll come back and punch it up with a little more white later. Because we do want our highlights to stand out. The highlights make the painting. It doesn't matter what you're painting, the highlights make the painting. And often the highlights are done with just like one little bloop of a brush stroke. Isn't it something when that's what your painting comes down to, is one little bloop? Every painting I know, that's the way it works. So you'll get some highlights up here on the roof. A little bit down here on the side. On the side, on the front, on the... there. Okay, and just bring that shade, shed the highlight right down there, down the back. All right, that's not so bad. So then we'll take a little bit, we'll kind of go right up here under the window. And kind of want to bring that down just a little bit in here. Okay, and then my door handle highlight, just want to put right there. Oh, I think I covered my shadow. That's okay. I can fix that later. All right, so I have a little bit more highlighting to do, like right along that back board, right under the wood. And this just goes all the way down the back of the truck. And the most part of this painting that you can do in one brush stroke, the better it's going to look. See, we had a little bit right there, a little bit right there. Anywhere else, right down here. Just going to take some nice bright white now and just put it up on my bumper. So you can see what a difference that made. And am I done? I think I'm going to leave it there. Yeah. All right. So putting that brush back in the water momentarily. I think I want to do the rest of my wheels next. I think that's going to help this whole truck look a lot more finished. So I have my gray areas that need some shadow. So just cleaning that brush. And then I'll go back into my grays, which are way over here. Oh, and if you have water on the handle of your brush, make sure you do wipe that off. You don't want that in your painting. So now I have this little bit of a darker gray, much darker. All right, so this is going to be my darkest part of my wheels. Okay, so just a little bit right down in here, right down in here. Go fast on this part. No futzing. Bumper shadows. All right, clean the brush onto the black. Guess what we're doing now? Take a deep breath. Be calm. And make your wheels. Make your tires. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. Add a little bit more water to that black to help it flow a little bit more smoothly. Now that width of that tire is exactly, guess what, 1/4 inch. So you do this with your 1/4 inch brush and you're going to have the right size wheel all the way around. Go fast. Don't put too much pressure on it. You start thinking too hard about it, and then you're not going to end up with a circle. And I'll just go ahead and rotate my canvas any way I need to make this easier to paint. And careful not to stick your hand in the wet paint. Okay, not perfect, but that is pretty darn circly shaped, and I can work with it. So, moving on. Yep, and there I went and stuck my finger in it, so when I do my shadows under the truck, I'll make sure I can touch up that wheel a little. All right. How are we looking for green? I know what we need to do. We need to do that tailgate. We have a tailgate coming off this truck, so I'm just going to take my brush and a little bit of turquoise and tailgate. No need to get too detailed with that one. It's just going to be covered in flowers pretty soon. I might take a little bit of shadow and just drop a little shadow right under. When I do my leaves, so I have this yellow. I'm just going to take a little bit of yellow, and then I'm going to take some of this turquoise. And this is my green color that I'll be doing all of my flowers with. It's a lovely green. Add white as you need to. Add blue if you want it dark. So here's my dark. I'll just go ahead and mix up a bunch right now. Taking even more turquoise. So there's my dark green, my mid green, and my light green is going to be way over here with the white in it. Okay, dark green. So with that dark green, I do want to go in and fill in like right between the wood boards. And that's going to be my darkest green. And if you get too much paint on your brush, just wipe that off. Too much paint on the brush is never a good thing. Okay. So there's my dark green. Yes, I do. Okay, so what I'm going to do next. Remember how we mixed up that orange and black? Just going to take a little bit more. And this time I'm using just the orange and black. For my darkest brown, not mixing it with white, not mixing it with water. And when I put the brush on the wood, I'm going to drag it lightly. Just drag it across. And this time when it doesn't entirely cover, that's fine because it's adding texture. There, see that? Nice texture. All right, and then I'll take some white. And my texture this time, I'll go vertical. Because I have those vertical boards. Okay, same with the white again, and I'll just take it right along the top edge of the brown boards. A little bit more white. And I am mixing my black and my orange, so if I get the black and orange showing up in there, that's the reason. And this is a nice colorful painting, so if you have pieces of color here and there, I think that's just adding to it. Adding to the beauty, adding to the color. There, now I've got some nice highlights. And the last thing I'll do is just add some shadows. This time, if you have any of that black and orange mix, that's great. If not, mostly black is just fine. All I'm doing is trying to get my boards a little slightly more defined, so I'm adding just a little touch of shadow just to the edge. Again, do your best to not stick your hand in the wet paint. I can't believe I'm the only one that does that, so you guys probably do too, right? There. So that is shadow and light and wood. Nice textury wood. Since the summer truck here with the flower delivery it's all about the flowers, I'm okay with having that draw attention. Back to my leaves. Give give that brush a good swish. And then I'll go back to my darker leaves. And I'm just going to dab, dab, dab. I want the dark leaves closest to the truck. These are the shadows. These are kind of the underneath. So this will come right up to the wood, even over it in a few places. That's fine. And we've got it all showing between these boards. And I have these flowers just kind of falling right out the back of the truck. And remember, this is just the shadow of the leaves, and the flowers are going over it. So just make a few shadow areas. Don't worry about too much detail. But any brush stroke that you do, just kind of think flowers when you do it. This is going to be kind of a flowery shape. And that will carry through. Whatever shape you're painting will carry through. So just wiping that paint off, and then I'll move on to my next brighter green. So my medium green now, which is the yellow and the turquoise and touch of white. And you'll see this should make a pretty big difference in color. If it doesn't, you might want to take a little more white. Because this color should show. And I'll break up some of that dark green in the background there. And go into a little bit of my light green. And now when I'm doing this, I'm really picking up good big chunks of color on that brush. I'm kind of blob painting. Technical term, probably. Blob painting. There, just some more green leaves. But yeah, I'm just basically taking big chunks of paint and adding some blobs here and there. All right, enough of that. Let's move on to some color. Now we've got all these colors that we're using, red, orange, yellow. So you can just literally take any color you want. I'll take a chunk of red, blob painting again, a big blob of red, blob of yellow, blob of white, I guess. I've got red and white here. So then I'll just, there. Oh, that's lovely, isn't it? Don't know what kind of flowers they are, but they are red and white and gorgeous. Some reds over here. You'll want to brighten it up, just hit it with the white side. Blob painting again. Flowers, just blob painting is just kind of the way to go with flowers, I feel like. I mean, as long as you don't want super detailed flowers. If you want detailed flowers, maybe not so much. Maybe these are tulips. Maybe these are, I don't know. If you have a flower garden, you probably have a flower in mind of what you want to call this. I always had my own names for flowers as a kid. We had these, they grow in huge bushes, and then when they're like buds, they're like little circles of buds, and then they blow up into these huge flowers. I'll think of it eventually here what they're actually called, but I called those flowers ant balls because when I was a kid, they were the same height as me, and I could walk right up to them. There were always ants crawling on them. And the adults would pick those flowers, bring them in the house, and I just think, ew. Are you kidding me? You're bringing all those ants in the house. Yeah. So, needless to say, I've never planted those types of flowers anywhere that I've ever lived. Daisies, I love daisies. Daisies are gorgeous. Plant daisies all day long. I have some growing here that have been transplanted from house to house. Most recently from my grandma's house. They've been here for about 10 years now, and they'll spread all over the yard if you let them. But no, my husband's pretty good with a mower. He takes care of that stuff. If my flowers aren't contained behind a fence, he's chopping them down. And that's that. And fences are hard, so most of my flowers are gone now, but I can still paint them. So that's an upside. See a little bit more white here in that. All right, let's move on to some yellow. Get some yellow flowers in there. Maybe some yellow tulips. Tulips are gorgeous. They really are a pretty flower. See, maybe we have some really tall ones. Maybe a little more yellow, maybe a little more white. I'll probably add a little more white specks in there. Because white flowers are nice, you know, daisies. Going to be white mostly. White, little touch of yellow. Maybe these are daisies. And I'll just take the corner of my brush and some white paint and just get some dots in there. Don't know what kind of flowers these are, but they are white dotty flowers. All right, and you can keep going with that all you like. I am trying to convey the idea of a flower truck. See, I want that to be a little darker. And once it gets that message across, I'm done. I don't need to keep painting this forever. A little bit more depth. So what I'm doing here to get a little more depth in these flowers, the greens just weren't cutting it. So even with that dark blue, and I did add a little bit more of that dark blue, I also added a little touch of red just to push that color a little bit more into the dark range. No, I don't want to add black. Black kind of kills color. And this is a very colorful painting, and I want it to stay that way. So I don't want to add black to any of my colors. The only place I'm adding black is in the tires and in the gray. That's it. Everything else is done with a color. So that is, I'm liking the way that's looking. So I'm going to clean the brush. And I'll go back to my turquoise. Touch of white. All I'm going to do is kind of clean up this edge a little. That's it. That's all I'm going to do. And now I have this shadow area under my truck that I want to work on. And that can also help. This is my chance to work on that tire, my one little tire that got away from me. First one I did okay, and then the second one I just kind of let my mind wander a little too far, and then my tire paid for it. So now I'm going to come back and fix it. It'll be pretty dark purple here, just a little touch of white. And see, I can come right up there on that. And you can probably even avoid white altogether. Just make it a really dark color. And that shadow will come up right around the tire. And if you avoid white, if you just mix your two, because your blue and your red are both transparent, so if you just mix the two transparent colors, you can kind of paint right over that wheel. And it'll kind of blend in. So, all right, too much paint there. I'll wipe that off. And then I'll do my faux blend here. Because to do a full true blend, would have to have wet on wet paint, which I don't have. I'm doing dry brushing now. So I just want to do a faux blend, which is just kind of pulling the edges of that color. There you go. You can see how it's a dry. That's my faux blend. And there we are. I think that's looking pretty good. Maybe I do want to brighten up just a little touch, like right in here. The shadow got a little dense, so we'll lighten it. Maybe throw in a little orange. There we are. All right, anything else we need to do on this? What do you think? I think it's looking pretty good. You can do more details if you like. I'd say do the minimal amount that you can do on your truck and then just let it go. The wheels, like I said, don't worry about them because remember how we had a little bit of a, it was a little messy there for a moment and then we added those dark shadows in there and now you don't even notice it. but with these bright colors up here and the bright contrast between the highlights and the shadows. So this is our flowers getting all the attention, and that will pull your eye away from the truck anyway, or from the tires anyway. So yeah, I think this is in a pretty good place. So I think I'm going to call it done. Thank you for joining me today. Again, I'm Shanna Cramer. This is Creatively Uncorked. And here we are painting the summer truck. I'll see you next time.